Hello, everyone. It's been a long time since the last episode. I hope everyone is doing well. First, I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone who's purchased the first book of the series, paperback or Kindle. It means the world to me, and I'm humbled that my works are appreciated. The link to the book can be found in the episode description or by searching for The Device by Mike Young. You'll know you found the right book if it's orange with a rocket blasting off. I am currently working on several new books. These will be released in due time. But in the meantime, I'm releasing a few stories in podcast audiobook format to make them as fully accessible as possible. If you enjoy these tales, please share with friends and family. They're the perfect choice for listening to while driving, exercising, working, or doing not-so-enjoyable chores. Short, fun, and replayable. Now let's get this new season started with the first tale. Enjoy!
The Snake Lady by Mike Young. The sign read, "Behold the Snake Lady. No arms, no legs, alive." Beneath it were the words, "Come in and see for yourself. Only $5. A Strange Bedfellows production." Caleb looked at the elaborately decorated sign in front of the big tent. Then he looked at Marisol. She looked back at him with curiosity in her eyes. Caleb returned her look with a nod and said, "Let's do it." They stepped through the opening and into a vestibule where a pallid-skinned man was waiting behind a ticket stand. The man wore a skimmer hat with a red band around the crown. He wore a matching red bow tie and an old red-striped vest as well. The vest had seen better days. It looked as if it had been worn since the days when such an outfit was a man's usual style. The man's eyes were narrow and dark, his nose small with barely a bridge to it. Below it sat a pencil-thin mustache with fine points on the ends. The man said nothing when the couple walked in. He only stared at them, giving them a feeling of uneasiness. Caleb said, "Yeah, we would like 2 tickets, please." He held up a $10 bill. At first, the man didn't react. He just tilted his head a little and continued staring. Caleb was about to repeat himself when the man extended his hand and took the money without a word. He didn't give them tickets, but raised his other arm, motioning for them to walk around the corner and enter the next room of the tent. Caleb looked at Marisol, who smiled back before taking the lead and walking inside. Caleb followed. He took one last glance back at the man and felt a shiver run down his spine. The room they entered presented several paintings of the Snake Lady they would soon be witnessing. There was also a board telling her story. It told of a girl who was different and always wanted to belong. A freak who just wanted to be seen as normal. Though the 2 patrons didn't believe the story, it still felt real and pulled at their heartstrings. Regarding the paintings, there was one of her as the little girl, freckle-faced with old-fashioned curls in her hair. Below her neck was the green body of a snake, reared up so that she was standing like a fully human person. In another painting, she was grown up and wrapped around the branches of an old oak tree. Below were 2 people, a man and a woman, naked except for the fig leaves covering their private parts. The third painting was a bit creepier. The Snake Lady was looking at the observer from a distance, barely visible in the darkness of a nighttime forest. A small rat scurried in the bottom right corner. This was presumably her next meal. Marisol had great difficulty pulling herself away from this painting. When she finally did, she urged Caleb to move ahead and get to the main attraction. "Caleb, let's see this Snake Lady," she said, emphasizing the snake part with a mix of fear and desperately needed sarcasm. "These scenes are freaking me out. I need to see her for myself," she added. "Same," he responded. There was a slight hint of shakiness in his voice. They moved along quickly and rounded the corner of the main room. When they entered, what they saw put their fears to rest and their minds at ease. Before them was a low circular platform, perhaps 3 feet high and 10 feet in diameter. It was draped by a deep purple tablecloth that reached the floor, hiding what was underneath and behind. Atop the platform was the clearly simulated body of a very large green snake coiled around a wooden box. Sticking out of the top of the box was the head of the Snake Lady. The very human, very real head of the Snake Lady. She was looking off into the distance as if she didn't notice the couple walking in. Caleb looked at Marisol with relief. She returned his expression with a grin. "So this is the gimmick," Caleb said quietly to Marisol. "Well, what did you expect?" she answered. They both laughed, releasing the tension that had built up. Then they walked closer to the platform. The snake lady turned her head slightly and looked at them. "Behold, I am the snake lady," she announced satirically, quoting the sign outside. Caleb and Marisol stood silent for a moment, wondering how to take all of this. Should they play along? Should they ask questions? Should they run screaming so others would think there was really something scary here? Finally, Caleb spoke up. "The snake lady, eh? Yes, as you can see, I have the body of a serpent, but the beautiful head of a woman," she replied. "Well, we spent money on this, might as well have fun with it," Caleb thought to himself. "Indeed, you are stunning," Caleb added playfully. "Why, thank you, my friend," she replied. "I never weary of compliments." "Careful, Caleb. A girl might get jealous. What with you giving all your attention to another?" Marisol joined in, teasingly. Caleb noted there may have been a tinge of actual jealousy in her tone. This brought him back around to the realization that the snake lady was of course a real woman, and flirting with her bordered on inappropriate, despite the strange situation they found themselves in. Caleb decided to change the subject. "Tell me, in all seriousness, how did you get this gig?" "This gig," the snake lady responded. "Well, when you have the body of a snake and the head of a lady, there's not much else you can do, right?" Her tone made little attempt at concealing the obvious truth. It became clear she wasn't pretending in any real sense, just playing a part. Maybe she's performed this act so long she just doesn't give a shit anymore? She just uses the time to chat with strangers, Caleb wondered. Maybe she hooks up with guys after her shift. She's a carny after all, Marisol pondered judgingly. In any case, Caleb nodded with appreciation at the snake lady's response. He turned to Marisol, whose arms were crossed as if she were cold. Never one to let gentlemanly acts of kindness pass him by, he offered her his jacket. As he did so, he wondered why it needed to be so chilly in the tent in the first place. "Don't snakes like it warm?" he pondered. He gently placed the jacket over Marisol's shoulders and turned back around to continue the conversation. He was genuinely interested in why anyone would play this role. They couldn't make much money, and it seemed humiliating. Surely she took insults from disappointed patrons regularly. As he was about to ask more questions, the snake lady interrupted him. "What's on your shirt, friend?" she asked, looking intently at Caleb's chest. Caleb looked down at it, forgetting what he had put on earlier. "Oh, it's just some t-shirt I picked up somewhere," he responded. "Yes, what does it mean?" The snake lady followed up. "I don't know that it means much, just a mouse or something that's done something wrong. It says, 'Bad rat, no cheese.' I think it's probably meant to poke fun at someone or something. I don't really know. It's just a shirt." The snake lady stared fixated on the shirt. Caleb and Marisol looked at each other. Finally, Marisol broke the silence. "Oh, I get it. You're a snake. And snakes eat rats," she said. "Caleb, the snake is getting hungry because of that picture of the rat." Caleb, sensing the humor of the situation, added, "Please don't eat me, snake lady. This is only a picture of a rat." The couple laughed and waited for the snake lady to join in the fun. She apparently didn't get it or was triggered by something, as she didn't respond with laughter. Finally, she spoke. "Rats don't like cheese, you know," she informed the couple. "In fact, rats hate cheese." Her voice raised a bit with the last statement. Okay, I did not know that," Caleb responded, hands raised in a show of placation. "It's just a shirt after all, and the cheese thing is a common trope, whether or not it's true." The snake lady didn't respond but continued staring. "So, this is why the woman has this job. She's mental and can't find work anyplace else," he thought. "In any case," Caleb continued, "I've always just fed them rat poison. I hear they think it's sweet like candy. Really, it's a win-win." Caleb laughed as he said this and looked at Marisol for her approval. Instead, he watched her face twist into a countenance of shock, then fear. He turned slowly back around to see what Marisol was so scared of. What he saw erased every bit of fun and good humor from before. The platform made a cracking sound before separating into two. Then the two sections broke into fragments. The snake body that had been so carefully coiled atop fell to the floor with a thump. Rising from the center of where the platform had been, stood the snake lady. She was standing on two legs, but these were not human legs, and her body was neither human nor snake. It was the thick, hairy body of a large rat. The couple stared at what was before them, unable to move and unable to process what they were seeing. The rat lady stretched upward still more. Her joints cracked from sitting hunched under the platform for likely hours. She tilted her human head to the left and to the right with more popping sounds as she loosened up. Her arms extended out for a good stretch as well. Caleb and Marisol saw long fingers, giant rat toes, spreading out from her hands with long, dirty claws on the ends of each. The hair covering those arms and covering the rest of her body was black and gray and matted. It had random, sticky curls plastered this way and that with some kind of gunk. Sewer grease, perhaps? Caleb began to regain some semblance of control. He reached for Marisol's hand so they could run when the attack happened. The rat lady pounced upon him with such speed and rage that he didn't have time to react. His hand never reached Marisol's before he was on the ground. The giant rat was on top of him, pinning him down. She clawed and ripped his flesh, finally plunging 2 long incisors into his neck. There was the brief sound of gurgling escaping from his neck. Then there was only the sound of chewing mingled with satisfied moaning and an occasional purr. Marisol didn't have a chance to see the violent end of Caleb. She panicked and ran as soon as Caleb hit the ground, giant rat over him. She had just made it into the room of paintings when she ran into the ticket taker from before. Only he looked different. His skin began to change to a shade of green, not unlike the snake body in the other room. He grabbed Marisol tight with one hand while gently taking off his hat with the other. He was completely bald and his head was flatter than it should have been. In fact, as she looked at him, his head began to change shape. It began taking on a serpentine form. Suddenly, his eyes glowed and a golden light emitted from them. His mouth opened and continued opening until his head was fully agape, like a snake about to eat its prey. Marisol let out one shriek before being swallowed whole by the snake man. Strange bedfellows, indeed. The end.
So what did you think? If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button and let everyone know it's worth a listen. More stories are coming soon, so stay tuned.